At first glance, Samantha Lee seemed to have everything. With over 1.2 million Instagram followers, brand sponsorships from fashion labels, and a lifestyle that looked like it was ripped straight from glossy magazines, she embodied the word influencer. Her feed was filled with perfectly staged sunsets, luxury vacations, and motivational captions that made her appear not just successful, but relatable. To her fans, Samantha was the girl next door who had made it, the small-town beauty who had worked her way up to social media stardom. Every post had thousands of likes within minutes. Her stories were flooded with heart emojis, and young girls copied her style, her makeup, even her mannerisms. But behind the curated feeds and filtered perfection, Samantha's real life was far less glamorous. Those closest to her, family, former friends, and even old boyfriends, noticed the cracks that her followers never saw. Behind the ring light and endless selfies, her relationships were crumbling. The people who knew her best whispered about her controlling behavior, her obsession with status, and her desperate need to maintain the illusion of perfection. Most troubling of all was her volatile relationship with her boyfriend, Ethan Brooks. While Samantha flaunted their romance on Instagram, posting couple selfies with captions like, "Forever with my soulmate," the truth was darker. Friends recalled loud arguments, broken furniture, and nights where Samantha's charm gave way to explosive anger. Still, the influencer image held strong. To the outside world, Samantha and Ethan were a power couple, destined for marriage and more brand deals. But behind closed doors, Ethan began confiding to friends that he felt trapped, manipulated, and increasingly unsafe. Then came the first ominous sign. Ethan, normally private and careful with social media, posted a cryptic Instagram story one night. A black screen with white text that read, "Not everything you see online is real. Sometimes it's dangerous." The story disappeared within minutes, but not before a handful of people screenshotted it. Days later, Ethan vanished. At first, his disappearance looked like a lover's quarrel. Friends assumed he had simply walked away from Samantha's chaos. But then, investigators started noticing inconsistencies in Samantha's story. Her Instagram posts kept rolling out, strangely upbeat. While friends and family begged for information on Ethan's whereabouts, Samantha uploaded beach selfies, motivational quotes, and even videos of her laughing with friends. It was as if nothing had happened. But those watching closely began to ask, why was she so calm? Why did her posts seem pre-scheduled, almost mechanical? And why, in nearly every recent photo, was there a carefully cropped corner of something strange? An object that didn't belong, a shadow, a reflection that seemed off. As police quietly launched an investigation, a different group began their own hunt. Online sleuths on Reddit, suspicious of Samantha's strangely curated behavior, started digging into her posts, piecing together clues she hadn't meant to leave behind. What they uncovered would shake not just Samantha's followers, but the world of social media itself. On the surface, Ava Monroe was everything an aspiring influencer wanted to be. Her Instagram feed was a pastel dream, brunches at rooftop cafes, carefully staged morning routines, designer bags placed just so on marble countertops. Every post shimmered with perfection, bathed in warm natural light and edited with her signature filter. To her 750,000 followers, Ava wasn't just living a life they envied. She was the life they wanted. But reality was darker. Behind the flawless selfies, Ava's real life was crumbling. Her rent was months overdue, her sponsorship deals had dried up, and she was drowning in credit card debt. The smiling photos of her boarding private jets weren't real flights, just staged shoots in rented sets. The diamond necklace she flaunted was borrowed from a stylist friend. Even her dream vacations were cleverly edited backdrops she pieced together in Photoshop. Yet, Ava clung to the illusion, because on Instagram, perception was everything. Her friends began to notice changes. She stopped attending casual get-togethers, only showing up when she knew there would be photo opportunities. Conversations were shallow, always circling back to how she could grow engagement. Ava had stopped being a friend and had become a brand. And with that brand came an obsession with numbers. Every dip in likes, every unfollow felt like a personal attack. She scrolled through comments at 3 a.m., obsessing over strangers' opinions. What she didn't post. The sleepless nights, the growing desperation, the loneliness was eating her alive. Then came the sponsor who would change everything. It wasn't a brand deal from a makeup company or a fashion house. It was a private investor, someone who had seen her online presence and promised to elevate her career. All Ava had to do was meet him in person, follow his exclusive lifestyle advice, and in return, she'd get financial backing and VIP connections. To her followers, Ava posted a selfie that night with the caption, "Dreams don't work unless you do. Two heart sparkles, big things coming." Nobody knew that behind her smile, she was about to step into a deal that would drag her into a nightmare. Because for Ava Monroe, Instagram wasn't just an illusion anymore. It was the stage for a deadly performance she couldn't escape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. The crime itself unfolded in a way that seemed ripped from a thriller novel. It began innocently, at least on the surface. Lexi Hart, the influencer whose life revolved around carefully curated images and brand deals, announced on her Instagram story that she was meeting with a friend for drinks. She tagged the upscale lounge downtown, paired with a short video of clinking champagne glasses. To her hundreds of thousands of followers, it looked like another glamorous night out. No one could have guessed that the evening would spiral into violence. The victim, a young woman named Marissa Cole, wasn't just a casual acquaintance. She was a former friend turned rival. Marissa had once been Lexi's confidant, a behind-the-scenes presence in the influencer's early career. But as Lexi's following grew, tensions began to simmer. Marissa accused Lexi of stealing her ideas, her aesthetic, even some of her brand connections. The fallout had been bitter, and though they had unfollowed each other online months earlier, they occasionally crossed paths in the same social circles. That night, the simmering resentment reignited. Witnesses recalled seeing the two women at the lounge, leaning in close, their smiles strained, voices sharp beneath the music. It looked like they were fighting, but trying not to make a scene, one bystander later told police. The next time anyone saw Marissa, she was leaving with Lexi, the two slipping out into the warm night air. By morning, Marissa was dead. Her body was discovered in the trunk of her own car, abandoned in a quiet parking lot on the edge of town. The cause of death, blunt force trauma, delivered with a heavy object. Police pieced together the timeline quickly enough. Surveillance footage caught Lexi walking with Marissa toward the car. But from there, the trail grew murky. For Lexi's followers, the news was unthinkable. How could the glowing, smiling young woman whose posts radiated perfection be accused of something so brutal? Yet even as the news broke, Lexi posted to her Instagram story an artfully shot picture of her morning coffee, captioned with nothing more than a heart emoji. The disconnect was chilling. Detectives quickly honed in on her as their prime suspect. She was the last person seen with Marissa. Her fingerprints were on the car, and the object believed to be the murder weapon, a champagne bottle from the lounge, was found discarded nearby, bearing Lexi's DNA. Still, she denied everything. At first, she claimed she and Marissa had parted ways outside the lounge. When pressed, her story shifted. She insisted that someone must have been following them, that Marissa had enemies. Lexi used the same skills that made her a convincing influencer, her ability to look into a camera and project sincerity, to try to persuade investigators. But cracks in the illusion spread fast. While police gathered evidence, internet sleuths dug through Lexi's posts. They noticed that the outfit she wore in her morning coffee photo was the same one she had been seen in at the lounge, except the photo had been taken in dim, artificial light, not natural morning sunshine. It hadn't been posted in real time at all. She had staged it after the fact, in an effort to maintain her flawless persona even as her life spiraled into a crime scene. The murder of Marissa Cole wasn't just shocking because of its brutality. It was shocking because of the person accused. To her fans, Lexi was living proof that dreams could be curated and sold online. To investigators, she was a woman desperate to maintain control of her narrative, even if it meant silencing someone who threatened it. The illusion was cracking, and soon the world would see what lay beneath the filters. By early 2022, the cracks in the glossy illusion of Ava St. Clair's online empire began to show. On Instagram, Ava was untouchable, a flawless goddess framed by luxury vacations, designer clothes, and perfectly plated meals. But offline, things were falling apart fast. Her sponsorship deals were drying up. Brands began quietly distancing themselves after whispers surfaced that Ava bought fake followers to inflate her worth. Behind closed doors, her once loyal boyfriend, Daniel Rains, discovered that Ava was drowning in debt and living off credit cards. But what Daniel didn't know was that Ava was also leading a double life, a dark obsession. Investigators later uncovered that Ava had become obsessed with a rival influencer, Lila Perez, a rising star whose following was skyrocketing while Ava's own numbers declined. On social media, Ava plastered on smiles, commenting heart emojis under Lila's posts, pretending to be supportive. But in reality, she was seething with envy. A series of private messages, later exposed in court, revealed Ava's darkest thoughts. "She doesn't deserve this. She's fake. I could end her career in one night," one DM read. It wasn't just career jealousy, it was personal. Ava's carefully curated life depended on staying relevant. And in her mind, Lila was the threat that could destroy everything. The night of the party. On a chilly November night, Ava was invited to the same exclusive influencer party as Lila. Witnesses remembered the two posing for photos together, smiling for the cameras, champagne glasses in hand. But when those cameras turned away, tension simmered. Hours later, Lila never made it home. Her last known Instagram story showed her laughing near the party's entrance, Ava standing just behind her. When Lila's body was discovered days later in a wooded area outside the city, the world was stunned. She had been strangled. The police scrambled to piece together her final hours, and Ava's name kept surfacing. Online detectives take over. While investigators quietly worked the case, online sleuths on Reddit and TikTok began pulling threads. They noticed Ava's strange behavior online. She deleted old posts, posted cryptic captions, and even uploaded a smiling photo less than 24 hours after Lila's disappearance with the caption, "Unbothered." For her followers, it was just another post. But for internet detectives, it looked like a taunt. The influencer who built her empire on illusion was about to be exposed by the very world she depended on. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, true crime podcasters, and curious locals filled every seat, their eyes glued to the influencer who had once seemed untouchable. Cameras flashed as Alexandra Grace was led in, dressed in a plain jumpsuit, a far cry from the glamorous designer outfits she flaunted to millions online. The prosecution painted a chilling picture. A young woman consumed by vanity, obsession, and the need to control her narrative, even if it meant ending another person's life. They replayed footage from Alexandra's own Instagram stories, highlighting her carefully curated perfection, then juxtaposed it with the cold evidence of murder. The defense tried to argue mental instability, claiming Alexandra had spiraled under the weight of fame and pressure. But the jury wasn't convinced. The digital breadcrumbs, deleted messages, location tags, financial records were too damning. The Reddit sleuth's findings had even been presented as supplemental evidence, drawing gasps from the audience when the judge acknowledged the unusual role internet investigators had played in bringing the truth to light. When the verdict was read, guilty of first-degree murder, Alexandra didn't flinch. No tears, no breakdown, just the same carefully composed mask she had worn in countless selfies. For a woman who had built her entire life around controlling perception, perhaps this was her final performance. The sentencing was harsh, life without parole. The influencer who had once dreamed of endless likes and brand deals would now spend the rest of her life behind bars, her name forever associated with betrayal and bloodshed. But the story didn't end there. Online, discussions exploded. Was Alexandra a product of a toxic influencer culture that valued image over reality? Was she a narcissist whose mask simply slipped? Or was she, as some sympathizers claimed, a young woman destroyed by the pressure of being watched, judged, and envied every day of her life? As the years passed, her Instagram account, once filled with flawless images of luxury, remained frozen, a haunting digital museum of a life built on illusion. Followers who once adored her now returned to the page out of morbid curiosity, leaving comments not of admiration, but of horror. And for true crime fans, Alexandra's case became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most beautiful smiles hide the darkest secrets. The influencer who sold perfection to the world was, in the end, a murderer hiding in plain sight. The illusion was shattered. The truth had gone viral. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.